I'm going to talk to you about how I like to use the diminished scale, the diminished flavor, if you will, in my own guitar playing, in hopes that you will start to implement some of these techniques into your own guitar playing. Because I don't know about you, but whenever I think of the diminished scale or any kind of diminished anything, I think of super shred metal, sweep arpeggios. And while that's awesome and I love it, it doesn't have to be the top, the ceiling of your diminished understanding. There's actually a lot of really subtle and cool ways to keep a more organic and natural sound to your improvising and your solos while still taking advantage of what the diminished scale has to offer. So I'll start off by telling you, in case you don't know, what the diminished scale is. Essentially, it's all minor thirds. So that's 1.5 whole steps each note is separated by. Now, it's important to understand that this is an arpeggiated version of the diminished scale that you may have heard of, like the symmetrical diminished scale, where it's either a whole half or a half whole relationship between each note. So in this lesson, I've removed the 2nd, 4th, sharp 4, and 6th notes just to simplify your understanding if you have never delved into this sound before. But just know when I'm saying diminished scale, that's not the traditional diminished scale, it's just the arpeggiated version, which means the root, the flat 3rd, flat 5th, and the double flatted 7th. So just keep that in mind as the lesson progresses, and if you want to learn all about every element of the diminished scale, then my course Guitar Super System, which is linked in the description of this video, will tell you all about that. But this is just kind of a warm introduction, if you will, to the diminished sound. So if you were to play the E string and just play minor thirds all the way up the neck, you would be playing the E diminished scale. Very mysterious. So in a more traditional format, I'll just take the D diminished scale because that's what I'm going to be doing an example later on in this video. That's the key I'll be using. The D diminished scale would look something like this. And another neat thing about the diminished scale, given that it is all minor thirds, is it is a movable pattern. So you can play this diminished scale here in D, and then simply move that shape up a minor third. Anywhere you play that shape, you will be in that respective diminished scale. So it works also with diminished chords. So here's a D diminished 7th chord. Move it up a minor third, minor third, and also down a minor third. So this is a really neat thing, because if you're playing a chord progression and you encounter a diminished 7th chord or something similar, then you have a lot of runway on the guitar neck to move around with that same position, that same fingering. So let's take a little jazzy progression here. I'll turn off my distortion and delay, and notice how I can move around this diminished chord to my liking. So the diminished chord, as you could see there, I could go anywhere and really just kind of fit in as many of those in the bar where it called for that chord as I can. So really cool, a versatile shape the diminished chord is. And like I said, this is a diminished 7th chord built from a diminished triad. So triads work the same way. So really a lot of possibilities with the diminished scale. So how do you get that diminished sound into your regular guitar playing? That is the question that I will hope to answer in this video. What you want to do is start with a foundation that you're comfortable with. It's like how I like to teach a lot of different things, is start with a foundation like the blues scale. And we're all real comfortable with that minor pentatonic sound, and just find ways to work in the diminished flavors among those notes that you're already very comfortable with. So in a little groove here. So it's just starting very simply, just real scalar, nothing real special about that, but I am taking these notes, which I already know, and adding in. And that's a great way to get started. Implementing any new scale into your playing is to start where you're comfortable and then get out of your comfort zone, but always know you have a home base to return to in the blues. So now that you have that understanding of how to kind of move these diminished notes into your guitar playing, it's just a matter of learning the different positions of the diminished seventh scale. That's kind of my go-to. So starting from the root, in this case D, we have the minor third, which is F. We have the flat 5, which is A flat. And then in this case, the double flatted seventh. It's not just a regular flat 7, because then that would spell a minor 7 flat 5 arpeggio, but you know, we have to make it diminished, right? So the diminished element of a seventh chord or a seventh arpeggio is the double flatted seventh. And then we're back to the root. So root, flat third, flat fifth, double flatted seventh, root. And you can experiment all over the neck. In my course that I teach, it's called Guitar Super System. I go over all the different inversions of the diminished 7 arpeggio shapes and diminished triads on all 4 string sets, and of course how to implement them into your guitar playing. So if you're interested in that, there's a link to my course just for you folks on YouTube. Click the link in the description if you're interested in that. I'm going to do a little improv here using the diminished scale to my liking, and I hope you enjoy it. I hope this helps you, and I'll see you next time.